If someone knocks on your door, don't look through the peephole. I know it sounds paranoid. I know it's instinct, muscle memory. Someone knocks, you check. It's normal. It used to be normal for me too, until I realized it wasn't. I've always hated being contacted unexpectedly. A random number pops up on my phone, I ignore it. If it's important, they'll leave a message. Ever had a coworker send you a message on Teams out of nowhere? It took me a while to get used to that. But the worst, the absolute worst, is someone knocking on my door unannounced. It started back in college. I was living alone in a cramped apartment, just me and a collection of bad habits. Maybe I was smoking, maybe I was just too lazy to clean, and then knock knock. The sound hit me like a shockwave. My whole body would tense. I'd tiptoe over, careful not to make a sound, and peek through the peephole. Most of the time, I wouldn't open the door. Just stood there, pretending I wasn't home. Was it introversion? Anxiety? I don't know. But it became a habit. 15 years, a dozen different apartments, and I still did it. Whenever someone knocked, I crept to the door, checked, and if I didn't feel like answering, I simply wouldn't. It worked. No awkward small talk, no unwanted guests. And if it was urgent, they'd find another way to reach me. I thought it was harmless until 2 weeks ago. It was a Friday night, the end of a long, exhausting week. For the first time in a while, I let myself unwind. Smoked a little, played video games with some friends. The night was mine. I had my headphones on, fully immersed, when something pulled me out of it. A sound just on the edge of my awareness. A faint knock. I pulled my headphones off, my heartbeat stuttering. I held my breath, listened. Nothing. It must have been my upstairs neighbors. They had a kid who probably wasn't asleep yet. I shook it off and went back to my game. Mistake. The night went on, but the sound kept returning. Knock, knock. Just a faint, steady tapping, like something waiting. At first, I ignored it. Maybe I was just tired. Maybe my mind was playing tricks on me. But by 2 a.m., I'd had enough. I logged off, crawled into bed, and scrolled through my phone to wind down. That's when I heard it again. Slow, purposeful. No mistaking it this time. A knock right at my front door. My stomach twisted. I sat up, pulse hammering. My brain scrambled for an explanation. An emergency? A late-night visitor? But why weren't they knocking harder? Why did it sound so patient? I slipped out of bed, moving as silently as I could. I grabbed my phone, using its flashlight to navigate, but switched it off before reaching the door. I didn't want them to know I was awake. I pressed my eye to the peephole, and a wave of dread flooded my veins. Someone was standing there. Their back to me. The hallway was a dead end. It's not like they were facing another door, just the wall, tall, broad, dressed in black. The only sound was their breathing, deep, slow, steady. My skin prickled. My throat went dry. Every instinct screamed me to move, to do something. But I couldn't. I just stood there, frozen, staring through the peephole. And then it twitched. Not a step, not a turn, but a violent jerk, like something inside it had snapped. A glitch in reality. The body spasmed, unnatural and broken. It happened again and again. It seemed to be retreating, but not in the way a person would. It didn't turn around. It just moved backward, but not toward me. I blinked and it was gone. The hallway was empty, and it stayed empty. I barely slept that night. Every sound made me flinch. Every shadow felt wrong. The knocking, though, it didn't stop. Every night at exactly 2:30 a.m. it came. The same slow, deliberate tapping. And every night I checked. Even though my gut told me not to, I crept to the door, heart hammering, and looked through the peephole. It was always there, always in the same spot, always facing the wall. Every time, dread pooled in my stomach like ice spreading through my veins. I couldn't stop myself. Maybe I thought if I ignored it, it would get worse. Maybe I was just too deep into the habit. I know what some of you are thinking. Why didn't I call the police or leave? But where would I go? And what was I supposed to tell them? Someone knocks on my door, I don't answer, and then they leave? It was terrifying. Sure, but it wasn't a crime. It was probably just some sick prank. But last night, everything changed. The knocking started as usual. Steady, rhythmic, unhurried. I was in bed, half asleep, debating whether or not to check. But this time, when I looked through the peephole, there was nothing. No one in the hallway. No tall, broad figure. Just emptiness. Relief started to settle in until I heard it again. Not from the front door, from behind me. The knocking came from my bedroom door. A cold wave of fear washed over me. My body froze. The knock came again, slow, deliberate. I turned my head, my heart pounding in my chest. The hallway was dark. The bedroom door shut tight. Knock, knock, knock. Louder, more insistent, rattling the wood. My legs trembled. I was trapped, stuck between my front door and the bedroom. The doorknob turned. I stumbled backward, barely holding in a gasp. The air felt thick, suffocating. My breaths came in rapid, shallow bursts like I couldn't get enough air. Knock, knock, knock. The last one wasn't a knock, it was a crash. A deafening, bone-jarring bang that shook the walls. Then silence. I stood frozen, waiting for anything to happen. It felt like hours before the first light of dawn crept through my blinds. Only then did I force myself to move. I opened my bedroom door. Nothing tonight. I know it'll come again, but I won't check. Not this time, because I know if I do, I won't be looking at it. It will be looking at me. This was the end of our story today. And don't forget that YouTube's algorithms say you'll like this video, so why don't you try watching it?